All right, screw it. Hi, everyone. I'm Grubes. This is Alex from the Clubhouse Podcast, and apparently we're live. I don't know what we're doing anymore.
Apparently not.
I just do what Ashley tells me, and most of the time it works out well. So.
Well, it's either that or the host. Like, she will definitely be taskmaster and start yelling at us if we get off track.
She'll keep on us. Mm-hmm. So yes, we are out here at Riders Field. We kind of sort of just met some of the Paw Patrol.
Yes.
Just got out of the lazy river, so if we look a little wet, that's why.
It's so comfy, though. Like, it's like that perfect temperature.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was seriously saying, like, if I was coming out here, even during the summer, you give us, like, a 115-degree day where it doesn't make any sense. But if you wear a big enough hat, that's the right temperature for that pool. It's going to be comfy.
Yes. But, yeah, the lazy river is already getting packed right now as we speak at 4:24 in the p.m. Central Time. Yeah, we just had a good time out on the lazy river, took some pictures because we are basically male models.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not saying specifically what kind of models, but nonetheless.
But why male models?
Of course. Well, because we have shape.
I see that.
Yes.
So, yeah, we are out here to talk about stuff and things and
of its ilk.
Yes, and Alex is a master of just knowing all sorts of different things where I don't really know where to begin a conversation with you because it never ends up anywhere close to where it started.
I feel like talking to me is more of the ADHD level of it. I may be a master of being able to talk about almost anything, but I am a master of none of those things. It's more along the lines of like, oh, I know a little bit about this topic, squirrel. I know a little bit about this topic, squirrel. I know a little bit about this topic, guinea pig. And it's like, but that's literally all it is it's because I grab onto things as they come by. It's almost like, if you remember the old ticker when ESPN first started doing it, it was always like, we're waiting forever for the score because you didn't know when it was coming. And it was like, okay, got that info. Whoop, John Wetland save. Got that info. And it's just like literal things that I just grab as I go. And that's why we were talking about how we were going to talk about this show, what we were talking about, a little peek behind the curtain. And it was like, dude, I usually just go off the cuff with anything we have, so hey, roll with it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much used to having like a little foundation of stuff to talk about where it's more of a safety net than, we have to hit every single one of these topics. Like, my favorite part of when I was at the Ticket, I was at the Freak, now with YDC and with me and Shippy, like, when it goes away from the normal expected foundation of things and gets a little bit weird, is a tangential, just, I don't even know how we got on this 10 minutes later, but I'm enjoying the hell out of this ride. Will we find our way back to equilibrium? I don't know.
I was going to say, that's one of the things I really do appreciate about Shippy and Grooves being on Sunset Lounge and watching into it. You can tell you guys are friends first and showmates second because there's that concept of, we may start talking about the Western Conference Finals for the NHL, but now we're talking about Darude's Sandstorm for some reason. But it doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying that conversation and people watching can hear that in your voice.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why with like the Clubhouse that we have that, because we also have such different backgrounds, but it's more along the lines of, like, where do they cross over? Okay, they agree. Now they disagree. Now they agree. Now they disagree. And nobody knows exactly what's going to happen because the more you anticipate it, the less you get right.
Yes, and that's the fun of it. And, like anybody can kind of talk like, what are the Cowboys going to do about their safety situation 3 months from now?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of can get
Congratulations, you're 90% of the talk radio out here.
Right. So having a little fun, having a little flexibility, I think that's where the magic is. And
absolutely,
you have a lot of magic in you.
Well, it's one of those where you get lucky when you're a little person and you get away from the Lollipop Guild, only to wind up at Wonka's factory. It's a journey, really, is what it is. But at that same time, it's just, I'm so excited to be out here. It's so much fun.
Hell yeah. No, I'm excited to have you or be part of this or whatever. Apparently there's some beverages.
There's libations.
With limes and everything.
There we go. Be gentle. Be gentle. We don't want Paw Patrol getting above the influence.
This is where not being on a real radio station anymore is great.
Oh, that is delightful, especially on a hot day.
That's refreshing. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's some sort of, maybe a Corona. Oh. Oh,
Just
it's a Dos
Equis?
Equis.
Hey,
Well,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, we won't say their name any further because
No free
we
ads.
are not getting paid by them.
No free ads.
But that is a tasty beverage.
Yes, it is, and it's perfectly timed.
Yes, it's refreshing.
Because it is toasty out here, and once
Yeah.
you get out of that pool, you start cooking.
I was going to say, I feel like we're already pretty much dry, even though we're now under a tent.
Yes, it's like we have no direct sun on us, yet it's so hot we're still drying
Yes,
out.
it's very
insane.
impressive. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not a warm weather person. I'm from Dallas, never lived anywhere else, and I still, every late spring into summer, am never ready for 90-plus
not
degree
at all.
weather.
No, I've been told for years, over the decade that since I moved to Texas, oh, you're going to get used to it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I'm going to leave those to Ziggy. But I no, you don't. You never get used to this level of hot. It's just unbearable. And like I get it. I'm gross. I'm a natural sweater guy. This is not helping.
No, it definitely encourages the sweating and
Yes.
yeah,
But oh man, the lazy river was perfect. I can't
I was
get over
gonna
that.
say,
I
look,
cannot get over that.
when I first started working with the Rough Riders was Chuck Greenberg's first year as the owner. He actually brought me in as the ambassador to fun to basically screw around on Thirsty Thursdays. But when he told me that off season before the 2015 season that he was planning on putting in a lazy river, and to then see how it's turned out.
Yes.
And we have a visitor.
Oh, nice.
Hey, brother.
There we go.
It's Chase from Paw Patrol.
How you doing?
Look at
There we
it.
go.
Yeah. I'm going to say, we're live, but we're going to
Okay,
take a picture.
Watch your connection.
I'm watching it.
I'm gonna go ahead and move the libation out of the way.
Yeah. We have plenty of cord, in theory.
There we go. Thank you
Pause
very
up.
much.
Thank you. You're a good dog. You're a good boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing now.
Right now we just got good music going,
Hey,
and we got
we're having
guests.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say you could have the mic, but I don't know if that would help anything.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's a dog. They
Yeah.
can't speak.
Yeah,
Or
well,
wait,
they
can they on
can.
Paw Patrol?
I don't
they-
know. Well, Ashley.
They do.
They speak on Paw Patrol.
Okay.
Got it.
Can we give him a microphone then?
He
Let's see
can't
what
speak
happens.
here, though.
Okay,
Oh.
here it's the code of silence.
Okay.
Yes.
We respect
Thank
your
you,
code of
Chase.
silence.
Yes.
Thank you, Chase.
Thank you very
Love
much.
you.
Yay. Best friends.
Yes. There we go. Let's get
Yeah.
back to. Thank you very.
Now we have to do our silly little show.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Bye, Chase.
Thank you,
very
Chase.
much.
Sorry, guys. I tried to
That was
surprise
awesome.
you on purpose.
I tried to.
Yeah. We were all disappointed, like, we didn't get a picture with Chase.
Now put Chase back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you.
Hold on, I got to put the beer back too.
Don't let him drink, though. No, he needs to go in the middle.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
working on it.
The
we go.
ringleader, dang it.
Something
Thank
like
you.
that. Are they in line?
Yes.
Are they in frame?
Not in
Yeah.
casting. I don't know.
Okay, boys.
Sorry, I
All
just
right.
pulled a Ziggy.
Back to the fun. Did you?
Having a beverage. Taking a moment.
You know what? That's okay. I
Yeah.
accept it.
Hey, we're live, and we're just now around the time where we should have been going on.
Whatever.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt a little bit awkward there because I was like, I don't know what's happening beside
and
me.
he kept standing there.
Well, but that's the side I can't see either. So I'm like, I
Oh.
don't know what's happening. What do I do?
I need to be a better friend and keep that in mind. I know
so
you
like
have-
literally what I did, and here's the funny part. This is a sneak peek. I was just mimicking your behavior.
That's never a
Because
good
I couldn't
idea.
see. No, because I would like see you go for a high five. I'm like, all right, maybe it's my turn. Okay, there's a paw, but I can't see on that side, so I'm like literally
Yeah.
reading your body language to just copy paste.
Here, screw it. I'm gonna
Screw
show
it,
my
we're just
computer.
like-
We're gonna switch sides.
Why are we going to switch? It's fine. No, go.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I'm just saying, like I couldn't interact with what's on my side. It's not a problem. I was just
Okay.
clarifying that I wanted to say I appreciated you cueing me on certain behaviors.
Like, I'll be
with
honest, I
Chase.
wasn't. That was just me being awkward. Like, I was trying to say, like, never mimic me if that's your only potential course of action. Find another course of action because
Fair
I don't
enough.
know what I'm doing, and I'm awkward.
Well, it's like that meme that keeps circling now, where it's like, I appreciate you being my friend. Questionable decisions by you, but I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's like that in that
absolutely
same
it
scope.
is.
All right. So what do you
So-
got?
I don't know. Like, I'll pull my laptop back.
Oh no, I was hoping you had the score to the Stars game right now.
You know what?
Because that would be the real thing.
Say,
Because And I wonder, did you talk to Ashley about the Finnish Mafia I was talking about?
A little bit.
No, but I have seen it.
Okay.
4-1, by the way, Oilers.
Okay, 4-1 Oilers.
I do
So-
like mafia romances, if that counts for anything.
No. Yeah.
That's a thread. That is connected by a thread,
That
but I
is a
don't know
little
if it's
bit.
the right thread.
Yeah,
And
let's see.
hockey, I'm reading a hockey romance right now. Does that count for anything?
A hockey
There's,
romance?
there's no.
Oh, it's
Okay,
a whole book.
Oh, no.
thing, babe.
There is a former player who is selling millions of copies of NHL like hockey romance novels. I don't understand it. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, but I do
Wow.
know it's a thing.
Okay, like there is, and
Like-
it's a retired player, but you see it, and it's somebody who is like the name is just enough that you remember watching them play, but not enough to remember them on an all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
But there's somebody who is making a ton of money selling hockey romance novels,
So,
and the way they were described was as smutty as it gets.
oh yeah. So there's
I
a
like how Ashley gets so excited.
So there's a lady, her name's C.R. Jane, and she sells this set of like novels. They're dark romances though, so I'm not going to go sit here and promote them the whole time. But this thing of novels that they're all based technically on Dallas Stars players.
Oh no!
And so right now that whole thread is just going rampant.
Please tell me like all of them have like a punny name, like it's Mike Madonna. No.
Mike
No.
Madonna? No. Like, I am at least seeing.
Mike Madonna means no.
Yeah.
There we are. We're there.
Like, I can't find the NHL author that you're talking about, but I'm seeing that at least one book name of a book is Icebreaker.
Okay.
Okay, so
And
that one's
another
like
is
that
Pucking
one's-
Around.
Those look a
That-
little bit more YA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Icebreaker
Those-
is soft.
I was gonna say those don't
Oh,
look like Ashley's.
sorry.
Pucking around though is a male, female, so it's not as soft, or it's a
Oh,
why
I
choose
wouldn't
or
think.
whatever.
I'm sorry, my brain just did not follow that.
It's like
Very
a why
to-
choose. It's like a reverse
It-
harem.
it's ice hockey Twilight.
We should not
or what?
be talking. No, we're not going to keep talking about this, but it's smutty.
Okay. So, see,
I like,
this is one
I
of
like
those
how
tangents.
we're not talking about this, but I don't think I've ever seen Ashley more excited to talk about a topic in my life.
I love. Romance
I'm gonna have to look that up
novels.
for our next
I was
time
gonna,
around.
yeah, we'll be ready for
When
next
we're
one.
not here on a day full of children, I will have this conversation with
fair.
y'all 1,000 times over.
We just saw a cartoon dog.
But
it's also true.
as I watched Super Kitties with my niece last night, I feel like this is the wrong conversation to have while talking about Paw Patrol.
This is so
That's
great.
fair enough.
I watched, Super Kitties is a thing. BT does.
Meanwhile, Ashley's just walking around the lazy river going, that's how you got here, that's how you got
Yeah.
here, that's how you got here.
By pucking around. Okay, so I
Oh,
think
Hey,
that should be the
Pucking Around
close.
is a
That's too good. That's like,
Thank
oh,
you.
that's got to be a close. We got to go to ad read.
I mean,
Go.
Pucking Around's a great book, though. I will say so myself. I've
I mean,
read
it seems like it.
Icebreakers is soft.
Okay. So I think where we were starting to go,
I don't
We were
know.
talking
Alex said
about-
something about the Finnish Mafia
Yes.
line is genius. Do you want me to just read how you described it, or do you want to?
I figure
You go
it's more
for it.
conversational
Yeah.
in that same scope, but it's one of those where we've known for years, and what we've seen is there's so much parity in the NHL that it doesn't matter. As long as you get to the playoffs, any team can win. So what I was noticing with the Stars was they started talking about the Finnish Mafia, and I was like, you know what? That's really intelligent because as you get tired, and for those that don't know, I played up to a junior Olympic level poorly.
Still,
Very poorly. But I did get to go to Chicago. I did get to go through the whole tryout process and poorly. But at that same time, you get to that certain level, especially with the NHL playoffs, where everybody is about at that same level. Yes, there are those Connor McDavids that are just better than everybody else, but they're not so elite beyond everything that people start to get tired at the end of a long campaign. The playoffs are such a grind, and you start to revert back to what your first thoughts are. And the fact that the Dallas Stars and their GM thought, let's get all of these Finns who are quality players and can put them together at this point so that when they do get tired at the end of a game or at the end of a long series, they're going to have those same habits and still keep playing as a unit.
interesting.
And I noticed that because we had the game the other day where it got into the third period, you could tell the Oilers were starting to get tired even though they were winning. And then every time there was a power play, the Stars just scored. But if you looked at it, a lot of those were those Finnish players that were used to each other at that level of tired and different aspects to it. So I was thinking, is this going to start the kind of trend within the NHL of trying to get it, especially if we're going to the Four Nations instead of an all-star break, and you're reinforcing those guys from the same country to be familiar with each other? Are we going to start seeing that on NHL teams?
I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I see where you're coming from.
I do too. Like, I don't know how intentional it was to bring in so many Finnish players. It probably doesn't hurt that they're all really, really good.
Yes, that definitely helps.
That's obviously an important thing, but I could see him being like, well, we got a couple. Why don't we, we know that these guys might have played together here, or, we know that they're friends at the least.
Yeah.
Friendly Finns.
Or if they get tired, they have a base language that is their
but that's
primary.
a really interesting way of thinking.
I realized I skipped over part of it. I mentioned the USA hockey early on because a lot of these governmental or country departments that set these teams up have a teaching style.
Right.
And a lot of the European is very speed, coordination, passing. Americans tend to be more of a power and passing, whereas Canadians tend to be a bit more of the blend between the two. So I was wondering more if that plays a part into it. Whereas you see, and I think there's actually been something with the NHL for a very long time, because one of my favorite factoids, and the other reason besides it being the Stars why I am rooting against the Oilers, there is an American football team that won the Canadian Football League championship more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup.
What?
You can look that up. In the Canadian Football League, the Grey Cup is their trophy.
Yeah.
A team based in America, out of Baltimore, has won the Grey Cup more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. Now,
so real quick, though, on that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
The Canadian Football League, though, aren't those mostly American players?
there are a lot of American players involved in that, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But what I was saying and leading to with that same concept, you'll have a lot of those Americans that have been trained the same way, and America has caught up to Canada to the point where Canadian teams and American teams are trained very comparably. So you don't have that disconnect. But if you have 2 to 3 solid players from Finland, from Norway, from Sweden, it kind of benefits the team to try and acquire more. Like let me use some Madden-esque, some NHL 2K in this. Connor McDavid is a 99. And you absolutely want a 99, but you're not acquiring a 99. So you get down into, say, the mid-80s, 84, 85. Those are the kind of players that can get traded, but really help out both sides. Maybe you have 2 out of 3 of a solid line all happen to be from the Czech Republic. The Yager line, we'll call it. And you have your option of acquiring an 86 who's Canadian or an 84 who's also Czech. Do you start to lean a little bit into maybe the Czech guy will help out with this line based on some communication aspects or different? That's where I'm really curious.
I see,
about.
yeah.
I see you have the Baltimore Stallions up on your.
I was gonna say
this is great.
Yeah, the Baltimore Stallions.
What year was that?
It looks like.
That's my favorite part.
They won in 1995, and then the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup was the Canadians in 1993.
Yeah, so there has been a more recently American team to win the Canadian Football League championship, and that team does not exist anymore.
I was going to say, are there any
there aren't.
teams in the CFL anymore?
I don't believe there are.
Don't seem.
That's what's really funny about it.
Wow.
But that's why I always root against the Canadian teams when it comes to the NHL, is I want that factoid to remain a thing.
Yes.
It's just too fun. Anytime some Canadian wants to talk smack about a gold medal, you could just say, Grey Cup. And then you just dominate that argument.
Yeah, just pound the table.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, you saying factoid rattled in my brain because I remember reading somewhere, and it says in his 1973 biography of Marilyn Monroe, Norman Mailer coined the term factoid to mean something that resembled truth and was taken for a fact, but was not in fact a fact and had no basis in reality.
Oh,
it's become,
I did not know that.
It's become like, oh, here's a little fact.
It's been a fun way to say fact, not the factoid as it was coined. That's really interesting.
Factoid is a lot more fun to say.
It is. It really
Yeah.
is. Plus, it allows you to add another syllable, which always makes you feel a little bit more hoity-toity.
Yeah, the more syllables, the more smart you sound.
Just remember watching Monday Night Football when Dennis Miller was on there, and it was like, let me see how many syllables I can fit into touchdown.
There was a lot of words said by him.
It was a very serendipitous touchdown, and it's like, what the?
Yeah.
Shut up, Dennis. I like you, but bro.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Stars have Razor Ray,
Yes.
but Razor actually makes sense with a lot of things he says, and he's not like he has big words that he uses, but it's not the entire sentence.
He's not forcing it the way that somebody else may
he'll
have
say
in the past.
larcenous and all that stuff, but like, he's
but
not.
that's actually part of the talk.
Yeah.
That's not, let me see if I can throw out a word that I saw in a calendar somewhere.
Right,
That's,
he's not doing like an advanced
speaking.
English class
Yeah.
symposium or something.
Yeah, he's not trying to show off. He's
Right.
just trying to
He's just
relay.
Razor.
Yeah.
That's just how Razor is. Razor can only be Razor. So, how
I
about
can't
that
tell you,
Rangers
this
offense?
This is the happiest I've had the Dos Equis to have Dos Equis.
I was going to say,
literally the
Becca
happiest
came
I've
in very, very clutch, bringing in
had.
a
Absolutely.
couple beverages, even though we're not going to say the name any further.
But it does mean 2 X's or 2 X's.
The 2 X's. We'll say 2 X's.
Yeah, that's right. Equis versus Keys. I messed that up.
Equis.
All right,
Yeah.
Rangers offense. I feel like we're giving it as much attention as we need to.
I was going to
because
say,
what
like,
is
they
there?
did win today 5-4, but
At the same time, it's like 5-4 out of scoring, 8 runs this week?
pretty much,
Yeah.
as Jeff Wilson tweeted, it's like pulling teeth right now to win a game.
That's an insult to dentists. Like, dentists work very hard to make pulling teeth not as painful as this offense
They
is
do.
to watch. So I will not have the besmirching of the dentist right now because the Rangers offense is worse than that.
That's fair enough. Well, I do know that you're a baseball guy. You got a very rich history with the sport, and have you seen an offense this rough in a while?
I am aware of the Colorado Rockies' existence.
I was gonna say,
so
fair enough.
I have to say that.
They play
because
in Colorado.
I know. You would think at least
Chicago
half
White Sox last year.
Yeah.
Actually, here's the funny part. The Rockies are now literally the worst team through 50 games of all time in the modern era.
That's
So,
insane.
I want you to think about it in this context. I can't take this. I wish I should have written down who this was, so I apologize in advance that you're not going to get credit for this brilliant tweet you had. But how insane is it that we had the all-time worst offense or the all-time worst team in the 2024 White Sox, and they're only going to be the all-time worst team for a year? How crazy is that? Literally hundreds of years of baseball, they're only going to be the worst team ever for 1 year.
Yeah, and the White Sox did it,
That's insane.
first time in like 100-something years?
Over 100
Yeah,
years.
over 100.
Like, they were literally the worst of the modern era, which was, I want to say, right now reaches about 130 years.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it for the live ball era, the modern era. Holy crap. Like, yeah, sure, you could make the argument that there's the concept, oh, they play more games, so there's more opportunity for them to give up runs. Yeah, there's more opportunity for them to score runs, too. That's kind
Right.
of how the game works.
Yeah, it's a little bit more advanced than it was back in the day. Like,
Yeah, you-
different equipment, like, you got all the technology, and you still can't figure out how to hit.
Yeah, and because if you look at the worst part about it, you may not think that baseball is the best sport on the planet, but it is absolutely the most fair.
Hell yeah.
It is absolutely the most fair because each team gets the opportunity to bat the exact same amount of times. They get the same opportunity to shut down the other team the same amount of times. So all of your arguments about, like, oh, well, there's more games, it's like, yeah, that goes both ways. That's not a good argument. Like, I understand for counting stats it matters.
Sure.
But for an all-time worst, they have to score runs as well as give up runs.
Yeah.
It's kind of parallel.
It's
And
insane.
they're bad. They are, and there was another thing that got put up that was the top 12 paid Colorado Rockies. And I wish I could remember where this was. It might have been Sporting News, but it was the top 12 paid Colorado Rockies. Every single one of them is either injured or just flat out terrible. And it's like 10 of them are injured and 2 of them are just like hitting 160. Like, it's that bad. Because, like, your number 1 is Chris Bryant, who's out for the year. Your number 2 is Kyle Freeland, and he's probably out for the year. I cannot remember beyond that. I'm actually kind of impressed with myself.
Yeah,
for the first
Ryan
two.
McMahon.
Ryan McMahon's also
Armand
hurt.
Marquez, Ezekiel Tovar, Tyro
hurt.
Estrada, Kyle Farmer, Jacob
Yep.
Stallings, Tyler
Like,
Kinley.
they're just all bad.
Yeah.
Or they're hurt. Or both. It's insane. It's like This is literally the equivalent of a voodoo doll. Somebody hates the Colorado Rockies and wants that team to suffer. But we said it on the show the other day. The craziest part about all of this, unironically, those fans are still showing up. Those
Well, I
fans
was
are
going to
still-
say,
they're-
like,
I want to say they're still in the top 12 for attendance.
yeah, I read an article in The Athletic where the Rockies majorly benefit from being such a beautiful city, a tourist destination, and the ballpark having such an awesome view and
Yes.
setup and all that.
And location.
That is
The
not necessarily
location.
Rockies fans all populating the ballpark.
Mhm.
It's a lot of visitors. It's just a lot of people that want to see the game from that setting.
Absolutely.
And an awesome setting, because apparently the fan experience really is great there, except for the product on the field.
So I was going to ask you a question, but I think you just gave me keywords. So you have not been to Coors Field.
Unfortunately, no.
I have not either, but it is near the
It's
top.
beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was literally just going to transition over to ask Ashley.
You can see the mountains from pretty much anywhere behind home plate.
Yeah, that's pretty
Oh.
tough to
that,
beat.
That
That's so
third
cool.
upper deck, like during sunset's great. It's beautiful. I personally would not want to live there. And I probably wouldn't want to be there full time, especially during like opening day because it is cold as all get out. But it's gorgeous.
Okay,
The
I-
stadium's one of the best in the.
I
in
now
Major
have
League
a
Baseball.
question because you were just describing very romantic views. Is there a series of books based on baseball players you want to talk about?
No,
Not yet.
I have a hard time reading baseball books.
I understand that one.
If they're not very specific or like if
Yeah.
they're off somehow, I have a hard time with them.
But
And you get to
I
live
thought there
enough
was a
baseball
parallel.
romances,
That is
too.
fair. You have covered the bases.
I'm just gonna.
That's what we call moving right along.
Man, that is
No, not all of them.
fair enough.
Some shortstops and second basemen are a little short for me typically.
I felt that one.
Gotta be this
Hey.
tall.
It's
to ride
a
this
little
ride,
high
honey.
in my back,
Hey.
but
You started it.
I'm not tall
She's
enough for
right.
it to be in my lower back, so there's that.
All right, so if we want to keep the baseball theme, I know you were interested in the Alvarado.
Jose Alvarado,
Jose, damn it. Yeah.
I still have a hard time with this, but I wanted to ask some informed people because you know everyone, almost to the point that Reiner does. But with steroids having such a high first offense and it being compared to other things that may actually be worse in the grand scheme of things, being like a 25-game offense for certain, I kind of feel like we should be looking more at a middle ground here. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not defending steroid use, although the game was more entertaining at times.
No doubt.
But to jump all the way to first offense half a season at 80 games, second offense 162 games, third offense blacklist, whereas you have, let's say, certain other more horrific offenses that could be done by certain people, and they get 25 games, and then they get 40 games, and then they get 60, then another 60, then maybe 80. And it goes on for what seems like forever, whereas you have this, yes, performance-enhancing drugs. It's a big hot-button topic. But I still, you know what? How incendiary do you want me to be?
Go for it.
I feel like the over-suspension of steroids is the let me be offended on behalf of somebody else version of sports. Because it was in the news, so we have to come down harder on steroids. It's like, no, there's 1,000 other things that people can do that are far worse than this.
I mean,
it's-
Yeah, and I guess some of I think it's something Mike Reiner has used before, is the fabric of the game. Like, the big thing is, betting on baseball. That's lifetime suspension. We don't need to get into the candidates or whatever, but
yeah, although there is a segue there.
Right, but we don't have to. But it's understood that, like, look, it's on the walls of the clubhouse.
Yep.
Every single major league and minor league and spring training, which I guess are generally minor league complexes, but that's everywhere.
Absolutely.
You're not supposed to do that, and so yeah, first offense, you're gone. With steroids, I think that took over the game so much that they can't, they couldn't get the players obviously to agree to a full-on, but it apparently was enough of a concern where the players agreed eventually.
The court of public opinion decided long before
I was going to say
anybody
that
else
didn't
did.
help, but
Yeah.
that's where, it's kind of a similar deal, I think, where, look, that if you do it, you're going to get suspended for 80 games. And I think for a lot of these players, whether it's coincidence or not, they generally are not the star players that are getting suspended. So
Funny
lot
how
of it
that
doesn't
works.
mean the star players
Yes.
aren't doing it. They're just
Yeah.
not getting
and they might be
suspended.
ahead of it or whatever. They haven't gotten
page.
caught. But I think the point is, like, a lot of these players, and I don't think Alvarado necessarily qualifies, but a lot of the guys that get suspended are guys either on the cusp of the major leagues or that have been hurt a lot and, just never worried that their chance is fading
Well,
away.
Alvarado is 1,000% one of those guys because he's been in the league forever. He's dealt with injuries. He is older. He needs it. Like, for him, and I'm not making excuses, and I want to clarify, I'm not saying that steroid offenders should be, like, given a pass. I'm
Sure.
saying that other things should be punished more severely if that's the baseline we're doing for this.
Well, but recently they just redid all of the guidelines of what guys were and weren't allowed to do.
But at that same time, I feel like there's an unbalanced level to what those offenses get game-wise compared to steroids.
I mean, they're still not popping guys for
Yeah.
cocaine, even though that's
crazy.
That's a big one that they're
Yeah.
not supposed to be doing.
And they're
anymore.
doing that in the articles a lot now, too, with the cocaine cowboys of the 80s, where they're highlighting Rock Rain.
I mean, 10
Insert
Lincecum.
that joke itself.
If anything is a performance enhancer, it'd be cocaine. And Tim
Yeah.
Lincecum threw both of his no-hitters while doing cocaine.
Allegedly? Do we have to say
We will
allegedly?
say
I think
allegedly.
we have to say allegedly.
Pretty sure he came out and said he did.
Well,
Just
I
in
don't know
case.
that. I'm saying we
Okay,
have to
well,
say
allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like the
came out
Doc
and
Ellis thing. He said it all along. We can only say allegedly, though. But anyways, in that same scope, I forget where I was going with this while we got sidetracked. But Alvarado's trying to hold on because he's at the end of his career.
Which
But
is
it's
crazy
like
because he's
it-
only 30, but I know, like you said,
He's
it
been
looks like
around
he's been,
since he was like 17.
Yeah.
That's the crazy
his
part.
body's probably just barely
and
hanging
he's
on.
always looked like a 40-year-old fat guy every year he's
Yeah.
ever played.
And he still
I
looks-
know I are one, so I know that
Hey,
that looks like.
Yeah, and just like not all players that get popped for steroids, remember
not
when,
ripped,
when
yeah.
Rafael Palmeiro got popped,
That's okay.
people were like, oh my gosh.
That's what I was leading
that
to.
changed things.
Alvarado is doing it for
Yeah.
recovery purposes, not muscle building purposes.
Right.
And to be perfectly honest, my most unpopular opinion, set up something for stuff like that. Let it be at a level because I know you look at the studies, you go through the aspects, there is a healthy level for recovery.
Don't they have it in the
Use it.
NFL?
I believe they do.
Yeah.
That there is a route that you can take to have it prescribed at a lower level within the expected.
And I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
changed it for Peyton Manning.
That wouldn't
That
surprise
might
me.
be. But yeah, but that's also the thing is like, you have to get it prescribed.
Exactly.
And that's where a lot of players are trying to evade it or, always claiming that something got tainted.
Yes.
That,
It's like, oh, I borrowed somebody else's drink and it was.
yeah.
It's like, just
you can't
stop.
do that. And so, yeah,
It's like your whole job is to know what goes into your body and your output. That's basically.
that's pretty much
Yeah.
the rules. So, I think the suspensions are fair enough. Like, I get, obviously there's a lot of other things that players can be suspended for that the punishment probably doesn't fit the crime. But unfortunately, I think it is still, they lean towards, if this is affecting the outcome of a game potentially, that's what matters more. And I guess, if you're doing some of the things that, are jail worthy,
Yeah.
then that kind of takes care of itself.
You mentioned it before. I'm also the same guy that's like betting on baseball. It's like, give me some context here because I grew up knowing Pete. I know that concept. I still can't go with you on that one. Like the ban on it. It's like, okay, 1919 White or Black Sox through the World Series allegedly. I get that. There is 0% chance Pete bet against himself. Yeah, for the years I knew that, man, I guarantee it. This is the same concept to me where it's like, they're not trying to cheat. And that's why I was mentioning it with the Alvarado concept. This is more of a health aspect and a quality of life. And we've seen so many of these guys who maybe don't have the correct stuff to recover, and they go down bad paths where it becomes a painkiller situation. And maybe they wind up making some poor choices after their career. That's part of the discussion I wish would be happening in that scope. And I hope it is, but then we just don't know about it.
Yeah.
Where because of there are benefits to this, find that middle ground instead of just demonizing guys who are trying to better themselves.
No, that's fair, and that's
And I don't know if that's the case in this one. I want to clarify.
I don't
big
either.
time.
we don't know anything.
I don't have any personal information.
We're just a couple chill guys.
Just two cool and crazy guys.
Yes. Okay, something we talked about before the show that fascinated me a little bit
Oh,
is
okay.
your eBay search history.
the eBay search history.
And how you got something pretty damn cool for pretty damn cheap.
I cannot for the life of me remember where I learned this. But it's been so long. To give you an idea, I was still living in Florida. I was still in school at Florida Atlantic University. And I learned a trick searching on eBay that probably has been fixed or something since then. Let's put a big asterisk there. But if you search by divorce, you can find some really awesome things cheap.
And I was going to say, to spoil it, I did that search and cleared that history immediately. But I did the search, and all it popped up was like some divorce books and like God hates divorce bumper stickers, stuff like that.
Me.
Yeah.
But you go back in the day, before they had all these algorithms and fish hooks for terms.
eBay is basically Amazon now.
You could search eBay and search by divorce and wind up finding some really cool things. Like I found a BMW 318IS that only had 1,800 miles on it, but because he got caught with the nanny, I got it for $1,000. Let me rephrase. I got it for $1,000, a plane ticket to Tampa, and then driving it back across the state.
Holy crap.
But that was my favorite trip across Alligator Alley.
I would hope. I would think.
No, it was just straight across the state. But at the same time, it was the Wild West of the internet with that level of eBay, because you would search by divorce and it would be like $100 for $15,000 engagement rings, and I'm sure that they were cursed like an Indian burial ground.
Right.
But at the same time, they were available.
Yeah, and I would imagine that a lot of, I think it's kind of happening with Facebook Marketplace right now, where there's a lot of stuff that you will see, divorce, blah, 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 and, just trying to get rid of it. And so I think that's where it's shifted now, because I was kind of saying eBay's kind of morphed into like Amazon Lite, where there's not really a whole lot of stuff that's used anymore. It's more like resold.
Yeah, it's kind of, to me, it's become like if you want something new, you go to Amazon. If you want something at a cheaper price because it's used, you go to eBay.
Yeah,
if you can't
make it to a Rangers game for a bobblehead, look at eBay. A minute later after,
or even beforehand.
Where they already have the picture up, that not even just the generic like stock picture of whatever the thing's gonna be. But it's
oftentimes the ad picture that the Rangers use. Or
right.
something.
Literally, you can see like it's a little grainier because it's been saved a few times, and
you can see
stuff
the
like that.
snippet line from where they did a screenshot. They tried to crop it down.
Like they forgot to crop it well.
It's like, it's a Kumar Rocker bobblehead. How can you tell? The head's cut off, but you can see the rocking chair.
We promise it's him.
But they're trying to cut out all the other logos.
Right.
It's like, come on. And that's really where those algorithms for eBay came in and ruined the divorce searching and everything. Boom, circled, bow, done.
Well done.
Speaking of Kumar Rocker, he's here on a rehab assignment.
I can't like him ever.
Oh.
As a Mets.
Yeah.
That's why we have to have that discussion about fandoms.
Okay, let's do it.
Because if I have to, well, not have to, but what are the concepts? Because are you and I want to get Ashley's take on this too. If you start as a fan of a certain team, do you have to remain with that team regardless of what happens? Yes or no?
I think, and
I say no.
And I come from a place of, like, I told you, like, I'm born in Dallas, raised, never left. So it's just natural for me to root for all the DFW teams.
Yeah.
I know, like, a few friends, like, growing up, rooted for the Cubs or the Braves because they were on TBS and WGN. So a little bit of that I understand. But otherwise, like, I'm just used to, if you're from here, you root for those teams. But I also get that a lot of people, one of my best friends growing up moved away in 6th grade.
Okay.
He's still a Rangers fan, but because of not being able to watch the games, he kind of became a Tampa Bay Rays fan. Mm-hmm. But the Rangers were still his team. Like, I think that's where the fandom disconnect might be, is, okay, who are you a diehard for? And then who do you root for based on maybe convenience or geography or whatever?
See, and it's interesting that you bring up geography and DFW, but before I do that, Ashley, was there anything you wanted to throw in on that?
No, if you're not paying me, you don't have my loyalty.
That's a fair way to put it.
She's right.
Which, interesting, also kind of applies. Let's be honest. But the way, because I was thinking about it, and I feel like And by extension, Rob has this situation too. We have a weird scenario being from South Florida.
Right.
Because as we grew up, we had spring training baseball. End of list.
Yeah.
Like, the Heat weren't there. The Panthers weren't there. The Marlins weren't there.
Yeah.
The Dolphins were, but that was a separate thing unto itself. And also way down in Coral Gables, which was a bit of a hike from where we were. But you have that concept of like Rob is a fan of the Braves because of the TBS thing.
Right.
And I had that same kind of connective tissue. But for me, being from Port St. Lousy, my
Sucks to
grandparents. What's up?
Sucks to suck.
It does suck. But unfortunately, I haven't lived there in over 40 years. But anyways, God, that felt old to say. But at that same time, I have that connective tissue with, like, my grandparents worked for the Mets there.
Ah, that's right.
My mom and dad worked at the Meadowlands. So that's how I became and I have those connective tissue aspects, but I don't have something as ingrained as geography.
Right.
So for me, I always, and the reason this came up was we were having a discussion. My grandmother passed in November, and I have to go for an honoring for her next month at Port St. Lucie, which is the appropriate name, even though it is lousy, to throw out the first pitch, put a plaque on her seat when she would finish in the ticket office, because she always had the same seat since they built the stadium.
Wow.
But because I no longer have that connective tissue with her, my time with the Frisco Rough Riders, and by extension my time in DFW with the Rangers, who am I really a fan of now?
I don't know.
See, see where I'm coming from. It's kind of an
Yeah.
interesting conversation.
You know-
because I feel like I will always root for the Mets on some level.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be
We've
there.
had that talk, Ashley. I know.
Yeah.
You can think less of me.
So I was gonna make a comment though, because I thought you were talking about like pro sports. I feel like it's a little different now that you're in there with the minor league teams, because I feel like at each different level you can have a different favorite.
Well, but the reason I'm looking at that parallel is because PSL is the single A, high A, but the
Nope.
single A team for the
No
Mets.
more high A. Don't start that.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
It's gone.
Fine.
Whoops.
Fine. Anyways, but that was the connective tissue up to the New York Mets.
Yeah.
Texas Rangers going up, so it has that parallel. That's where I'm coming from. But that's a great point, Ashley.
Yeah, I think you can have a different fandom depending on where you are.
Like it.
I'm a fair weather fan at the best.
At least
of
you'll admit it,
days,
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're not paying me, I'm definitely not repping your jersey.
Well, a team that used to pay me but doesn't anymore, but I still love, is the Dallas Stars, and they're down 6-1 right now. No, they lost.
Is that
6-1.
over?
It's over.
It's got to be over. Yeah, it's gotten to the point with these NHL playoffs. It's either a single or double overtime game, or one team wins by 7. That's
Yeah.
literally all that happens.
I don't know how that works.
But the interesting conversation I've been having a lot lately with this, with the history with hockey, at a certain point, when do you just give up on empty net? Like, do you have to do it because you're showing that you're trying? But at the same time, like, for example, with this one, at some point it was 5-1 Edmonton.
Yeah. I can see if there is an empty net.
But anyways,
yeah,
what
but no,
I'm
I get
getting
your
at
point,
is
like-
depending on how far down you are you obligated as a coach to pull the goalie to put a show?
Right.
No. It's different if you're about to lose game 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose and not go to the Stanley Cup. Then you care if you've still got 2 more games in
Yeah.
between.
It's kind of that we live to fight another day, you know.
Why hurt your guys?
Right.
Well, but that's exactly the kind of thing I was wondering about, but here's your also connective tissue. You have multiple lines, which means of your skaters, you have multiple guys that play the same position. You may only have 1 or 2 goaltenders, and you definitely have a goaltender 1. Do you pull them because you're protecting that guy?
Right. Just at
Just
least
to put
rest
in your
them
backup kind
yeah.
of thing? Or does that do more detriment to him
Yeah,
mentally? This is what
I'll say this, though. I think from a goalkeeping perspective, like you're not, if you're getting your butt handed to you
Which I did regularly.
and
Gross.
No, I was bad. I was really bad at
Oh,
the
I know.
tryouts.
and you have to play in 2 more days, I would rather get taken off. Like, yeah, it's a pride thing, but I'd rather get taken off and saved because obviously your defense isn't doing that well either, which means that, like, you're just going to keep getting hounded.
Yeah,
So
and as the starting goalie, you're generally
Yeah.
starting every game. Like, I can't remember which team now, but they wound up going with their backup goalie at some point in one of the series, I believe. and-
Well, Toronto did that, but that was
which-
because
that
of
was
injury.
Injury. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe I was thinking of a different series, but the point is, yeah, you're basically riding your starting goalie until you're done, and so that's where does even putting in the backup signal a white flag, even though like, hey, it's intended to give them a break. But you don't want to
There's
ever
so many
concede a
levels
playoff
to
game.
it.
I know.
It's so many
That's
levels.
the beauty of it. Like,
Well, it's
that's
the
a
beauty
chess
and it's the
match.
heartbreak.
Right.
Because you're looking at it like with 6-1. Come on, man. We know you're the guy. Just
It's not
come
your
sit
day.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're gonna give up 3 empty netters in the last 5
But
minutes, but it's it.
here's the next question. What was the shot to save percentage?
Usually a lot. Like,
Yeah.
Otters, I saw the stat that Otters made 100 more saves in the playoffs.
that was
than
crazy.
any other goalie. So
He's
mean,
faced
yeah.
so many more shots.
It's
than
insane.
It's
anyone
not
else.
always like I was a goalkeeper, so
Yeah.
for me, like if it gets to me in the first place, then and I let it go in, okay, yeah, that sucks, and obviously it's going to be put on me, but at the same time, that also means that my defense wasn't doing their job.
That is very true. It's a tough
If it
situation.
gets to
in
me,
that scope.
you didn't do your job,
Yeah.
and that's just me being me.
Now, and coming from that background, there is a level to that, but I can say from like my aspect on that, I can be frustrated at the defense, but I
mean, I
was-
still
I
let
was
the
kinda-
ball go in, but it's
100%.
But it
It's,
doesn't
I should be
fall
the last
back-
line of defense. That's where my mindset always was as a goaltender.
But if they take 100 shots and say they took 100 shots today and he only let 6 go in,
I want to say
Yeah.
closer mentality.
And it looks
in that
like-
same scope, as a closer mentality, you just kind of your job is to
yeah,
stop
but it
it. If
doesn't all.
it doesn't work.
But in
it's
the
not
grand
fair,
scheme of things,
but
it does
yeah.
not fall back on. Like it's not,
It's not
only
entirely
you.
on you. Yeah.
yeah, but it looks like 18 saves.
Oh, he had a low
24 shots again.
That's not
He was
great.
1 for 3.
Yeah,
That's not
750 save percentage.
So he was in goal for all of those goals
It
allowed.
looks that way.
Oof.
Yeah,
That's a bad day.
that's not ideal.
That is
No, that's not a good day.
ideal.
But you know who is having a good day?
Us.
Us.
Yeah.
Because we're at the Riders game, and
Yeah.
we were in the lazy river, and
It was so nice.
we had a unnamed beer.
We had a visit from Chase.
Yeah, we did. We met a dog today.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
We met this one.
What is it from Elf? Good news, I saw a dog today. But no, this was fun, man.
Oh,
like
this has been great.
that went really quick. We nearly made it a full hour without even trying.
And I was just thinking, like, it was like, did it feel shorter because of the heat? It's kind of leveled out a little
I was
bit.
gonna
out
say,
here.
like,
it's been nice.
The
Little
the
bit
tent
nicer.
definitely helps.
Oh
Like,
my God, yes.
Thank you, Becca, for the tent.
Yes,
And
Becca,
Dave.
thank you.
Like, that was-
you would be smelling bacon, and it would just be me sweating. It's not good.
That sounds disgusting.
You're welcome.
I like bacon.
I like how Ashley's like, that sounds disgusting. Grubes. I like bacon. It's like, this is not the route I was
Hey.
expecting with this.
That's the fun of it.
That's also true.
You never know what's going to happen on your clubhouse companion.
You're like, dude, I knew it was
Oh.
coming.
Well,
I had to work it in once.
I'm glad y'all told me this because I have us a Shippy and Grubes in the clubhouse today.
I mean, that was
so-
the
Yeah.
intent. Like,
Okay. I was
it's-
like, well, I definitely have the outro wrong, and I'm still using it because I built
Oh, yeah.
the dang
Hey,
thing.
Ashley, have I ever had a plan? No. The silence means
that's a very big no. I'm not
no.
even going to
It's
ask
a
her.
subtle
'cause
no.
I know that it's a no for me as well.
Yeah.
There are such things as stupid questions, and as Bryce Harper would say, clown question, bro.
Well, I think that's it.
That sounds like our close.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh,
Bye.
well,
Pull a Reiner.
you don't want to do anything? You don't want
I
to?
don't know. I don't do outros. Like, I'm not.
Tell.
Lucy.
Do you want me to do it?
Yes.
Sure.
Hold on. Okay. Oh, wait. What do you want
Uh-oh.
to throw in
I
there?
don't have anything. I'm
You don't
just
have anything?
here.
So it's been a great time here out at the Riders Ballpark with Grubes.
Thank you.
Obviously the star that people are here to see, and I
No.
am just the little brothering here. But if you'd like to check out anything, please go to Patreon. Search for Sunset Lounge DFW. You're going to be able to get every show on our network, whether it be the Clubhouse Podcast, Shippy and Grubes, Your Dark Companion, Your Clubhouse Companion, the Engel Angle, Al Maximo. I am sure I'm missing somebody.
Beer Sports
Beer
30?
30
Yeah.
Sports O'Clock.
Beer
No,
30.
we got to say it
I
right.
never
Dark
say it right.
30?
Beer
What?
30 Sports
Beer
O'Clock.
30 Sports O'Clock.
Which-
but
That's what I
Oh,
said.
yeah.
also known as Beer Dark 30.
Beer Dark
I was going to
30,
say,
also
yeah,
known as Beer Dark
Ziggy's
30.
made that a segment,
But,
I believe.
Grubes, where can they find you on anything? Anything coming up?
Pretty much everything is Tweet Grubes, at Tweet Grubes,
Oh, okay.
Grubes, and
Any
tweet-
shows you want to talk about coming up?
let's see.
Your Dark
Wait,
Companion.
Yeah, I was going to
we'll
say.
be right back out here on June the 6th.
Damn right. I was going to say, I believe
for
that'll be
Texas
Texas Rangers night with
Texas Rangers
me,
night.
Reiner, and Grego. That
And-
should be a good time.
Every Thursday, you can find the Clubhouse Podcast on with our host, Rob Irvin, our fact checker, Don Ford, and I am Alex Barnhill, also known as Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com/TheCheapPopcast. We've got a lot of different designs and a lot of different color options within those designs. If you happen to be an artist and you want to submit designs to me, you'll get paid for every shirt that sells, and you can send those to Alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
Damn.
He does that every show, by the way.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I could not memorize that to save my life.
I don't. I literally wing it every time. It
Oh.
changes a
But
little bit.
It's
because I'm just
it's
doing it.
also very, very similar every time.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, I
it's-
can't do
it's
that.
Close.
It has never been an actually structured thing. I literally just do it.
I couldn't tell.
My spectrum kicks in and I'm right there.
I'm a DirecTV guy,
There you go.
I was like, wait, does this mean you want me to hit the close?
I guess.
Okay, bye.
We're vamping.
No. We're out.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.